A very good evening. Welcome to Advancing Northeast. And this is Joyshri Padgiri from the outreach team of Advancing Northeast. And before, as we go ahead with our session, I would like to first start with a little introduction of what Advancing Northeast is for our viewers who are yet to know about our initiative. So, Advancing Northeast is a digital initiative under the Ministry of Development of Northeastern Region, MDonor, Northeast Development Finance Corporation, NETFI, and Northeastern Council. It is a one-stop solution portal designed for the youths of Northeast in the field of education, employment, and entrepreneurship to serve them make informed decisions in career and livelihood. So to serve this very aim further, we host different shows and we try to bring down globally benchmark professionals and, different people from different who are already doing well in their lives to create that medium for our students, for the youths who do not have the right access yet with the right amount of information. And now we have also started with our Work Abroad and Study Abroad series, where we bring down Indian students who have made us proud by, taking their names to universities outside, holding positions there. So today we are here with a different episode of Work Abroad and Study Abroad. And the guest we have is Pratixan Sarmah. He is a PhD candidate at Jagiellonian University, Krakow, Poland. So welcome to Advancing Northeast. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Joyshri. Yeah, it's also a pleasure for me to be on your platform. I'll just try to share whatever I know, some of my experience, and I hope that helps.
Yes, obviously we'll know about your journey and what it took to be there, so that it's easier for our students to get the points and everything. So we'll start with a little introduction, as I have already introduced, but your introduction in your own words for our audience, please.
Okay. Sure. Okay. Okay. So yeah. So as you said, I'm a PhD student, PhD candidate here at Jagiellonian University, which is in Krakow, Poland. So before I joined here in around October of 2021. So it's been more than a year now. So I did my schooling in Guwahati, Assam. I did my schooling from Maharshi Vidya Mandir. You must have heard of the school. And after that, I did my undergraduation from BITS Pilani, which is in Rajasthan. So there I did a dual degree program. So I was enrolled in a Bachelor's of Engineering and also a Master's of Science. So I did my engineering in mechanical engineering and Master of Science in Physics. Right now I am a PhD candidate in physics, so I sort of moved into the field of research in physics. So
Yes.
yeah, that's been my sort of journey or academic journey so far.
Okay. Yes. So schooling in Maharshi, and then you also went to BITS Pilani. BITS Pilani is also a very difficult institution to, secure a position there. So
yeah. So BITS Pilani has its own entrance examination. We all know about the JEE Advanced, JEE Mains examinations for IITs and NITs. BITS Pilani has its own entrance examination, which is I mean, it is of course difficult in some sense, but I'm sure with good preparation and hard work, there's a lot of people who can join the institute.
Obviously. So, since you're doing your PhD now, so what mainly attracted you to the research sector? And a little brief about your, about the sector also, various levels, skills, and everything.
Okay, sure. So as I said, I started as a engineering student. So I did my Bachelor's of Engineering, and I was more into engineering at first. But then I also had the opportunity to sort of study basic science through the master's program in BITS Pilani itself. And I got to first I got to learn different topics in physics, of course, but I also got to do some research there. And so right now, my field of research is in high energy physics or particle physics, and I got to do some not at a very high level, but at some basic level in my undergraduate institute. That kind of motivated me and sort of how my interest in this field grew. And I also, so during my master's or during my undergrad, I also got the opportunity to do some research abroad as well. So I did some research for 1 year in South Africa. It was remote because it was the time of the
Okay.
pandemic. So that kind of also sort of gave me an idea about the field and how things work here. So yeah, I guess that's where I sort of developed my interest in this field.
Okay, interesting. So, as you said that you also did it in your undergrad also. So, what is the process like? How you got into the program and how you were aware that such opportunities are available out there?
Right. So the thing is, of course, there are a lot of different programs. There are student exchange programs, there are scholarships, and all those things. But I would say for me, it was more. So I knew that I wanted to pursue the topic, the research in physics. So what I did was just try to find people in the field, professors, early researchers, and just mail them and ask them if there's anything that I can work with you, or if there's any research that I can contribute to. And that's how I got in contact with my then supervisor for a period of 1 year. But
Okay.
I've also known people who applied through different programs. For example, there's this program, I think it's called MyTex. So this is a student exchange program for students in India, and they can go visit universities in Canada, for example, and select their own field of interest and do some research, gain some experience, and yeah, that's it mostly. That's how I believe. First, you know how things work in research because it's a very different field compared to the standard industry that we know, and also what it takes or what skill sets you would need later on. And I think most importantly, if it interests you, just to see if the field interests you.
Okay. So, as we are here mainly to lay down the basic foundation, make it easier for the youths, for the students to understand. So, the question is very basic, but is there any financial constraints when you also came in terms with your then supervisor, and then also you said that there were many other programs through which your friends got into this. So, was there any financial constraints or scholarships or any kind of thing?
Right. So of course, yes. I think the financial constraint is one of the major things when you're trying to go abroad or work somewhere or apply somewhere. And usually, these sort of programs or scholarships, they offer you stipend. So they make sure
Okay.
that you don't have to struggle for your financial if you don't have any financial support as say, because it's quite expensive honestly if you're moving abroad. So these sort of programs help you in that way. Although I would say that the ones which offer good stipend are also very competitive. So the chances of getting there are also not that high. But if not those programs, there's always some opportunity with, let's say, the professor you're in contact with. So usually professors here do research and they have some funds for their research projects, and sometimes it may happen that they have some extra funds for, let's say, a master student or a bachelor student, and that's how you can sort of get in touch with them and just let them know about your financial situation, and I'm sure they are more than willing to help. And
Okay.
for me, so if I specifically talk about my time as doing research during my master's. Because it was remote due to the pandemic, I didn't have to travel. So I wasn't in need of great financial support then. So I could manage without it. But for people who are so right now the situation is much better because travel is now happening all around the world. So yeah, if you're moving outside, then of course you would need those financial support.
Mhm. So now we'll come to your journey. Like, how did you secure your position in Jagiellonian University? If we go to specifically about talk about your institution, your university, how does it
Mhm.
take in Indian students, and what is the selection procedure, and what kind of process goes into it?
Right. Okay. So two things. First, all the universities outside of India have a very different strategy or approach to uh, taking in students. And it also very much depends on the country as well. So, for example, in the United States, it's a very different approach. There are certain exams that you have to take. For
Mhm.
example, GRE. I'm sure most of you who are watching this have heard of it. There's also some exams which test your English abilities, for example,
Mhm.
IELTS or TOEFL.
Mhm.
And these are basic requirements. But then once you have this, you also have to write some motivation letters, you have to share your experiences, your CV, and and just give some interviews. So that's how they recruit. They don't have a straightforward entrance exam like we have in India, for example. So it's a very different approach in that terms. In my case, that was about the United States. It's slightly different in Europe. In Europe, you can see for, and especially for PhD programs, there will be advertisements by professors themselves stating that they are looking for some PhD students for their projects. And that's how I applied. So I got in touch with my current supervisor. So he was
Mhm.
advertising for a position here for his project, and I got in touch with him, and I just applied through him. So I just had to submit my CV, submit a few letters of recommendation. So those are letters that your present professors or supervisors write, and they recommend you for the position. And after that, I think there was an interview at the university, which was mostly based on what research I had done earlier and what I would like to do in the future. So stuff like that. And I think it's pretty much similar across different countries in Europe, slightly different in probably UK, but roughly this is what happens in most of the universities in Europe.
Okay, so once they get a hold of the initial steps, with the beginning supervisor and recommendation, then it gets a little smoother, right? Any tips on
Exactly.
how
Yeah.
how the how the students need to prepare for their interviews? Because obviously that is also not an easy process for everyone.
Right. Right. Yeah. Of course. So it really depends. For example, what interview or which university you're applying to. Uh, So some of the universities that I know, they already tell you what they're gonna ask. So
Okay.
they'll say that they want some presentation from you based on what you've done earlier, and we'll ask questions on that. So that was the case for me. So I had to present my earlier research, and they were asking questions on so I had to give a presentation, and they were
Mm.
then asking questions based on it. But some universities they don't want any presentation, but they'll ask you some questions based on your field of interest. For example, in my case, that would be physics. So general questions in physics and also particular questions in the field of research that I want to go in.
Go ahead.
So it can really vary depending on which university you're applying. And but I would say, I mean, to prepare for an interview, uh, I think half of the work is done by the work you've done earlier. So if you've done genuine work earlier and you know your basics, you know what you have studied, I think half of the work is done there. And the rest is just be confident and just don't take it as a do or die. I mean, just feel free to just talk to them because they are also humans. They just want to see how you react to their questions. If you are able to, even if you don't give the correct answer, they'll check if you are able to think properly, come at the, or you know how to arrive at a particular solution. So that's it mostly. I believe, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Wonderful words. So now we'll like to know a little about your project, which you are working on right now there.
Okay, sure. So as I've said, so I'm at the university as a PhD student, and I'm also, so my supervisor has a project. So this project is in the field of high energy physics. Um, so there are various particle colliders across the globe. Most importantly in Geneva, which is called as CERN. It's the European Organization for Nuclear Research. And if I delve into a bit more detail, we have to write different softwares and computational tools that are used in those large colliders. So that's where, or that's what I'm mostly working on. So it's a mix of theoretical physics and also a bit of computer science. So we need to
Okay.
understand the physics, and then we have to write programs according to those physics, and then those programs and tools can be or will be used in those particle colliders. So as I said, my supervisor has this project, and I found it quite interesting when I was looking for positions. I just got in touch with him and discussed what I might have to do, what he requires of me, and yeah, that's how I guess I got it.
Okay. So, judging by the way you are mentioning this, topics or also your background, so this field seems this topic seems really interesting, and also it goes to your according to your field, what you did
Mhm.
before. It goes by your
Exactly.
background. So, how is your experience there after you got into the program and then you started working, getting to the field, the practical aspect of it? Can you shed some light on
Right.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So it's been wonderful so far. I've got to learn a lot of things. But I'd also like to mention that it's not easy. Uh, even so, I've had some research experience previously during my master's, but that's a whole different game to a PhD. So a PhD demands a lot from you. You have to understand the theory very well so that you can implement new ideas, test out new things, and also do a lot of programming in my case. So it has been challenging from that aspect, but it's been very great as well because I've enjoyed what I'm doing. Even if it's tough, I like to understand them and then move ahead with whatever I understood and try to implement those things. So in that way, it has been great. And also, I have to mention that there are incredible people here working on the field. So you get to interact with those people, and I believe whatever you've learned, uh, most of it comes from the people you interact with. So
Correct.
that's a huge advantage, and especially for people going abroad. So there's incredible researchers working in different fields, and you get to interact with them. And yeah, I mean it's been a good journey so far in that sense, and I encourage everyone who's interested to surely consider about it.
Yes. So, how long is your will your project going to be? How long does it take? For the
Um,
research.
yeah, so typically in Europe, the PhD program is either 3 years or 4 years. Here in Poland, it's 4 years. So
Mm.
I've completed a year, so 3 more years to go.
3 more years.
And Yeah, and so because I also have the project should also be ideally it should be finishing before the 3 years that's left, but usually the same time period as my PhD, because um, the thesis that I'll have to submit at the end of my PhD will be based on the work that I do with the project.
Mhm.
So it has to be managed accordingly.
Okay, so what do you think lies ahead after this, after you are done with your research? So, what kind of career prospects are associated with your field?
Mhm. Okay, so for people who wants to come into research, I'd just like to put out a word of caution that it's not very straightforward. You have to get your PhD, and then and most people decide after a PhD if they want to still stay in academia.
Mm.
So if you want to stay in academia, you have to do postdocs after you get a PhD. So once you get your PhD, then you apply for different positions in different places, possibly, and get your postdoctoral degree as well. Um, Typically, these postdoc positions are offered for 2 to 3 years, and these are sort of these are taken as not as students but mostly as employees, because as a postdoc you are almost a professor, just that you don't have the title. So it's almost the same work as a professor does. You have to do research, you have to do teaching, just that you don't have the title of a professor yet. But after you've done your postdoc maybe once or twice, I've also known people who've done it for 3 times, and then you can apply for positions in universities as a professor or as a researcher or whatever you like. Um, so that's a pretty long route, I would say, because it takes a lot of time to get into a permanent position in academia, and especially abroad. I'm not very aware of the procedures in India. As far as I know, some universities they just want you to have a PhD and they don't want you to have postdocs. But I think at this age and today's time, I think a lot of people are getting their postdocs, so it gets really highly competitive in that respect. And so yeah, that's the typical path in academia. You get your PhD, a postdoc, and then you apply for positions in university as professor and researcher. But there's also another career path. So there are a lot of people who, after getting their PhD, they decide they don't want to stay in academia. So whatever skills they have learned throughout the program, those are very valuable in the industry as well. So a lot of them also decide to go into industry, into, I don't know, corporate jobs or even research in industry. There are different companies in industry who actively are researching on various topics: computer science, physics, chemistry, and also biology. A lot of computational biology is being researched right now. So in general, those are the prospects that one might have after, or if they decide to pursue a field in research.
Yes. So, if we talk about in context of Northeast India, how different do you think the educational system is? Because you have, you are studying there, so you know the system there. You know the system working in Northeast India. You know it in India also in general. So, what do you think about the, nature, and where do Northeastern students stand in all these opportunities? Because I think not many students are still aware of a lot of, opportunities that are available for them. So, any opinions
Yeah,
on it?
right.
Mm.
Yeah, sure. I think the only thing that's lacking is awareness, and I'm glad that platforms like yours is helping to bridge that. But apart from that, I think you shouldn't think of yourself as any less capable as someone else from a different part of the country or anywhere else in the
Mm.
world. I'm from Northeast. I'm here doing my research, and I'm sure there are a tons of people from Northeast, from Assam, from Meghalaya, all the states of Northeast who are doing wonderful work in whatever field they're interested in research or even in industry abroad in India as well. So I don't think we lack capabilities. The only thing that's probably lacking is a bit of awareness. There are also some really good institutes in the Northeast. There's IITs, there's NITs, which do incredible research. And even apart from the IITs and NITs, there are universities. I know of universities in Assam, for example, Tezpur University, which I think ranks incredibly high in research across India as well. So there are opportunities there. Um, I think people just need to find out what they're interested in and then do their research. I mean, at this age, you have the internet. You can go on the internet, search for anything that you want, try to find out what people are doing outside or even in your place, and just get in touch with them. I mean, it's very easy to get in touch with people. People are there to help you. If you just drop an email to a professor, of course he might be busy because a professor has a lot of stuff to do, but if he sees your email, I'm sure if he's free, if he's willing, if he has some opportunities for you, he'll be happy to provide that. So yeah, that's the thing that I believe. But yeah, I'm sure, I mean, in the coming days or coming months, years, there will be only progress in the northeastern states.
Yes, absolutely. So, do you also have like a community formed there amongst the Northeastern people, the Northeastern students, and everyone, where you are studying, outside? Do you have any such
Um,
communities?
Yeah, sure. Unfortunately, I haven't met much Northeastern people here and where I stay. But I know a lot of people probably in Germany or in the
Mm.
UK, because Germany and UK are usually the more traditional places where people like to go. But there are a lot of Indian communities here, which I'm part of as well. But yeah, I hope there are more people from Northeast coming here and just do some great work here as well.
Yes, because then, these communities might help in bringing up the students who are not very privileged and who really want to do some quality work, to go
Exactly.
out
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I
and
mean,
get the
yeah. That
platform.
I think you've pointed out a good point here, because um, sometimes it might not be very easy to get in touch with, let's say, a very big professor or some university
Yeah.
or some official. You can get in touch with someone from your community who's abroad or who's working in some field, and just get in touch with him and try to see what's available or if there are any opportunities for you. Yeah, I mean, at the age of internet, I think we all are connected very easily now. I mean, we can, for example, we are having a Zoom meeting now, which wasn't probably possible a few years ago, or it was not that easy. I mean, now you don't have to think twice before connecting to someone who's staying in States or in Assam. So yeah, I think that helps a lot, and I think the bridge will be this gap will be bridged sooner, I guess.
Yes. Also, can you just point some, ideas to students about internships as such? Like before going to this field, they can also do internships. They can gain some knowledge and
Hmm.
then work. So, any
Yeah,
say on
yeah.
that?
Specifically in research, sometimes it may happen that after you've completed your graduation, you might not get a position that you want, because it is quite competitive, and there are unfortunately not enough positions available every year. But if you're determined to work in research, there are opportunities even in India. I know people who, after their graduation, they've worked as a research assistant or early researcher in some good universities. For example, there are universities such as IISc Bangalore. Then there's the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research in Mumbai, and all these institutes which do fundamental research and good research. So people can contact or get in touch with people from those universities and just express your interest that you'd like to do a PhD later, but right now I'd like to gain some experience as an intern or as research assistant or anything like that. and people are doing that. So it's a good way to gain. So it might happen that you might not get some research experience during your master's or bachelor's, which is very very normal. People don't expect you to do a lot of research in your undergraduate, because there are also a lot of courses that you have to do, and sometimes it's not very possible. So then you can just graduate from your university institute and then work as an intern for like 2 or 3 or 1 year, depending on your work, and gain that experience and use that experience to later get a good position for a PhD in, I don't know, even in India or any university abroad.
Okay. Also, can you suggest any names of any journals, for example, or any online websites or anything that you followed as a student, going by your area of study, the
Okay.
research you are doing
Mhm.
now, or yes, so,
Okay, so there are a lot of these
or online courses
websites.
also, yes.
Right, yeah, there,
Mm.
there are a lot of these online materials, websites which help in those processes. Personally, so in my field, there's this website. So in high energy physics, we have this website called Inspire HEP. I can share with you the link later as well,
Yes.
which is a very good platform because it's where every professor who has a project advertises it there. So there are
Okay.
PhD positions available there. There are postdoc positions available there, and even master's positions available there. So that was a very good resource for me. I was sure that I want to go into high energy physics, and that was like the one-stop place where I could find all the information that I need. Um, but apart from that, I know a few other websites. I think there are some websites which just showcase any PhD position, not just in physics, but also in different fields. And those are, of course, certainly helpful. But if you're not sure or if you can't find anything like that, I guess the best way is to just look into the university website. If you know some universities you want to get into, you prefer some universities, just go to their website, try to find people who are probably working on similar areas as you would like to, and then just get in touch with them. So it's available in every website of every university. They have their departments, they have their professors, they have most of the websites also have introduction to what they are doing. Their links to their websites as well, and also their contact information, so one can get in touch with them very easily.
Yeah.
But
So,
I would
yeah.
also like to mention here that even though it sounds straightforward, as I said, professors are very busy. They have to do a lot of work here, and they're typically very busy with students and all sort of stuff. So it might happen that you might not get any reply, and that happened to me as well. I had like sent probably more than 50 emails to different 50 or 50 plus professors, and only probably 5-10% replied, and most of them were saying that sorry, we don't have anything right now, we wish you all the best. So that's very common to happen to you if you're on your way to send emails. I just say that don't get disheartened by that. Just try to find more people and send as many emails as possible.
Yes, absolutely. This thing about emails, somebody also mentioned before also that emails always work. They're this magical thing that they come back to you some way. So I think,
Yeah, I mean it's also a skill to write
mhm.
a good email. uh, Please master that. It does wonders. I mean, in any stage of your career, be it applying for universities or even later in life, I guess. This is a very important skill to learn, to write good emails, and yeah, it can bring you opportunities that probably even you didn't think of.
Think of, yes, absolutely. So email writing, CVs, these are also some basic things that the students really need to learn and be well
Exactly.
acquainted with. Yeah, that is the need of the
Exactly.
hour. Yes, and also the website you mentioned, that is very helpful, and you can share it with me, and I'll put it up in our social media handles when we post this video.
Sure.
And the students will be very beneficial from that. So I think we have almost covered everything that was required, A to Z, all the process and steps involved. So lastly, any words of advice for the aspiring students who also want to get to the position you are at? So any words of advice for them?
Yeah, I mean, as I've also mentioned that please don't think that you lack capabilities or any other lackings that you might have. Just work on it. There's nothing that you can't achieve. And I'm also happy that platforms like yours is also providing information, and people can go on these websites and check out all the different opportunities you can apply for. And yeah, I mean, just be aware of all the possible opportunities there is out in the world, and also I guess the most important thing is try to find your interest. And that's one thing that will lead you much ahead in your career than anything else. I mean, I believe if you're working on something, if you're not interested in, that will only take you to not a very good place, I guess. But if you're interested in something that you're doing, I'm sure the world is yours to take. Yeah, and I wish everyone all the best for their careers ahead, and also if you're applying to universities as well. So yeah, all the best, and make Northeast proud, I guess.
Yeah, obviously, a wonderful parting word. So it will be like if somebody actually, does it and goes there, they might even meet you there. It might be possible that they just saw your show and they just applied for it and they just got in. Everything is possible. Right.
Sure. I'm always happy to help. If people would like to get in touch, sure. In any way I can share some information, or if anything is helpful, that will be very good for me as well.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. It was wonderful having you. And we hope to have more such collaborations in the near future. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for inviting me to your platform as well. It was nice talking to you. Thank you.